the full power and the secret of the pen, education and upbringing, spirit and destiny, the greatness of a nation, the cradle of wisdom, name of origin, the piece of world culture is Kazakh.
Granite and bronze are from two different worlds. They differ in impact in one image in particular. A sculpture called Apple and Boy uses both materials, bronze and granite. The author of this sculpture is Omirzak Shanov. The monumental work is at once realistic, fluid, and simple. His character from the composition was feeling the severity of life when the apple on his head was about to be shot. The sculpture gives the feeling of fear and danger exactly, and he created it from a psychological state.
Композицию «Мальчик яблоком» я увеличил с малого небольшого размера в такую величину до метра.
The composition of Boy and Apple from the content was small, and I made it bigger by 1 meter. I used granite and bronze, and a mixture of them was unique, and it portrayed very well the homeless child's figure. We can call this sculpture the defense of a child.
Ее именно образ мальчика, ну, беззащитного такого, вообще защиту, как бы сказать, детства.
Omirzak Shanov is one of the sculptors who raised the sphere of art since the independence of Kazakhstan to a whole new level. His creation took place in two directions, and primarily he followed the academic style. This way, he made a bust sculpture of our president. Also, Shokan Ulayhanov's bust, which is in the Akwarda residence, is one of his most significant works. The second phase of his work style is also modernist. Thus, this is what we can say about his work, Archers of Socks, which was in different exhibitions.
Көне дүниенің жұмыстарын еске алатындай, сол кезде қорғандардағы жұмыстардың образын алған, пластикасын алған.
In his compositions, he showed warriors' images from ancient times, but he also made new images. There are 3 archers that shoot arrows. From the plastic and art features, he hasn't made such works. I would like to mention this about the work. In even very small sculptures, he paid attention to each detail. He made this sculpture with diligence for more than a year. In the composition Archers of Socks, he showed a warrior which is turned 180 degrees around, shooting his target. And what's more, this is not a myth. In ancient times, a warrior who has riding skills on a horse nowadays probably could work in the circus.
Композиция «Лучники», она изготовлена из бронзы. Вот.
This sax composition was made from bronze. It shows our historical traditions. All men ride horses to protect their family and motherland in that period. They are warriors who had to protect their motherland from the enemy.
Защищали свою землю, очаг свой. Дети все увлекаются, конечно, всякими подделками. Ну и мне тоже в детстве, в общем-то, я увлекался.
As usual, each of us probably were interested in different art from our childhood. And thus, I made a variety of compositions and sculptures from clay during my playtime in my childhood. Some of them were finely crafted and others were shapeless. When I grew up, I came into this environment. I was enrolled in a specialized art school in Almaty.
Там я обучал 4 года, как я повторяю уже. Вот, закончил его в 1972 году.
The sculptor continued his education in Moscow, obtaining an apprenticeship from Pavel Ivanovich Bondarenko. His theme of his diploma project was the composition of Haji Mukan, and he defended his diploma. A golden color composition of Prince also took place in those themes. If you have a look at the sculpture, the viewer's eyes will be attracted by the plastic of the work. The Prince composition also describes victory and courage, and his movement shows happiness.
Қансада жұмысында енді жас баланы басына тәж кигізіп бейнелеген, қолында кішкене аса таяқ.
In this Prince composition, the sculptor put a crown on the head of his prince. He is holding a staff in his hand and riding a horse. This is a monumental sculpture of one image. You can see the culture as well. Subsequently, this work shows a prince riding a horse to his new life, met with honor. Talent came to the sculptor through his mother's genes. If you are not talented, it doesn't matter if you are educated in Moscow. A sculptor should be distinguished through his fine workmanship, whether through a horse of a workman or the horse of a prince. A sculptor can portray very well the psychology of the heroes and a person with fear. He achieves this level owing to the theory of education and his practical research. And he also searched for bronze materials and used them in his works very often.
Я привержен материалу именно литью из бронзы своих произведений. Потому что бронза это как бы древняя.
I prefer to work with bronze materials. Thus, bronze and the human image are familiar to each other from ancient times. In general, the sculpture is connected from ancient times, and that connected culture follows each one, and the bronze has not lost its own value. It is a warm and also a good material. You can make from bronze different feelings and senses of literary images.
Ну и как бы вот эта нить связующая, она входит в наш мир, то есть в нашу современную жизнь, и бронзовые изделия очень высоко ценятся.
Көптеген мына өнер көркем сурет шеберлерінің арасында мүсіншілер болсын, кескіндемешілер болсын, бір шығармашылыққа деген бір жауапкершілік болу керек те. Осы Omirzak анадан осы шығармашылыққа деген жауапкершілікті үйренетін нәрсе көп.
Among the artists, sculptors, or painters, they should all have a responsibility for the art that they create. We can learn from Omirzak such responsibility. He is a person who creates with sensibility and philosophy. He makes fewer compositions, but his are among the best. In each one of his works, he applies diligence and excellence. He is a sculptor who uses a classical style. I have never met a student who made compositions in this style, to be honest. Thus, sculptors such as him with diligence and depth, I haven't met before. There are students whose works are similar in a modernist style. As for Talgat Jumagulov, they have got their own developed artistry and style. I think these guys will follow the image of fluidity of our brother's works. Omirzak is a person who makes his compositions only in one style of classicism. It is said that there is no vessel on stone, and if you can find the way to their language, you can give it breath, and they will be transformed into an image. The compositions of Omirzak Shanov, which were made from the stones, did not lose their grace. This is an eternal principle of the Greek sculpture. Each composition of his is completely finished. He stopped teaching and has started to engage in creation. Today he has his own workshop, and most importantly, he retains his lifelong love of art.